Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, October 14th, 2016. We're joined by a band of intrepid blockchain adventurers who join us every week, some of whom are here as guest speakers. They RSVP every week and are upvoted by the community who follows Beyond Bitcoin and what we cover. And the community gets to help dictate what coverage and the order thereof that we have. So with that said, we've been doing this for quite some time, and the projects that come on here, they seem to have a philosophy of transparency and consistent updates being something important. So whenever we have these projects that are coming on and doing this, I've been lucky enough to sit back and watch BlockPay and Peerplays and some other cool things that are going on that have used Beyond Bitcoin at some point in time, at least, to help get the word out and help to make those connections in a low barrier to entry way. So because we have this RSVP system, we can kind of watch as distribution of Steem goes a little bit wider and watch how the community will be able to help upvote people and get support from individuals to be covered on these hangouts, because we believe that transparency and community are two of the biggest indicators on the success of a token or a blockchain. So with that said, we are sitting at Peerplays with number one this week. Peerplays, are you here? That's a stupid question. I know you're here. You got 34 votes and you're at 8. Okay, so you got 34 votes and you're at $8.29. If you want to visit their official site, it's www.peerplays.com. Check out the latest updates at steemit.com/@peerplays @peerplays/. And I'm going to hand over the mic to you and let you get started on your updates, Data.
Thank you very much, Fuzzy. Good day, everybody. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs, the company which is heading up the Peerplays project. And today, got a number of updates. If any of you have been following the testnet, you will see that we pushed out some updates that have updated a lot of the pages in the GUI. So it's got newer layouts. The tournaments are now updating properly. We've got all the logic on the back end of the tournaments is done in the testnet. And starting next week, we are going to be working on implementing the gaming logic into the testnet as well. So very good progress this week. Very happy with it. Also, some good news. Peerplays is now filed its application for trademark. We are now internationally recognized trademark. So Peerplays will have that nice little TM in the top right-hand corner every time you see it from now on. Well, we'll have to do that over time anyways. But so that's all been done. A lot of you are looking forward to the next crowd sale. You'll note what is happening right now is that we're actually working very diligently with the lawyers to take care of making sure that everything is set up properly with the new organization going forward. So we just want to make sure that it's all being done right. Unfortunately, working with lawyers, they like to make sure that lots of little details that take up a lot of time will have to be done before we can move forward. But we're getting much closer to it. And as soon as we have the word, we are going to give it to you and let you know when it's happening. But we are coming closer to it. So that's about all I can say about that. I think that's about it for this week. So if there are any questions regarding the Peerplays project, hand it over to Michael. And yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Data. I will say that this sounds really like a good week for updates on your end. It sounds like you guys got a lot accomplished, huh?
Yes, it's been very good.
Well, thank you for providing the update. I will say that this is the type of stuff that people like to see on a project that they've invested in, or donated to, however you want to look at it. So thank you very much. And Crypto Prometheus, looks like your lips are now uncrossed and you are ready to step up to the mic. Mic check, check.
Check 1, 2, check. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
This is Michael Maloney speaking. I'm the one of the project managers and also the communications manager for the Peerplays project, and I'm here to answer some questions today. I see there's one in the channel right now. How does Peerplays derive randomness for its blockchain games? I can't give you a super technical answer to that, except to say that we have an on-chain random number generator that we've implemented and will be using. So I guess that's kind of the lay version of how it works. If you have sort of more maybe technical or specific questions, I would point those, maybe ask Dan Notestein in our Rocket Chat channel. You might have some more information about the specifics of that.
Oh, just want to real quick let you know, Crypto, with the Peerplays Rocket Chat, I don't know if other people are having this problem, but I had a problem logging into it or getting into it at first when I tried to make my account, and I'm kind of locked up. So I'm going to have to talk to you guys at some point in time, and it might be something that other people have suffered from too, who might be interested in listening and asking questions in there.
Okay, yeah, I guess I haven't heard that specifically, but yeah,
I don't know if it's something that's big or not, or if it's just isolated to me. I just want to, I figured I'd tell you that we can figure that out after the fact. But I did want to inform you while I was thinking about it.
Right on. So we have Tom is asking here, when will the tokens be issued for the share drop? The tokens, the Peerplays tokens that are trading on BitShares right now are a UIA token. Those UIAs were issued as receipts for the initial public crowd sale that we had back in May and June. Those UIA tokens won't actually be the final Peerplays tokens, as I'm sure you know. The Peerplays tokens will be actual core tokens of the Peerplays blockchain. So the BTS share drop will not be receiving Peerplays receipts tokens, the UIA tokens. They'll actually be receiving portions in the Genesis block of the Peerplays blockchain. So hold on to your BTS private keys or your private keys to whatever account on BitShares that you held your BTS tokens in on the snapshot date, which I think it was September 2nd or something like that. We'll have to go back and look at that, but whatever date it was, whatever account that you had at the time, hold on to those keys, and then you'll plug those private keys into your new Peerplays wallet when the Peerplays blockchain launches, and that will unlock your shares from the Genesis block.
On the Peerplays blockchain?
Yes.
So we won't actually see any reflection of the share drop within our BitShares wallets. It will happen on in the Genesis block in the new Peerplays blockchain, correct?
Yes, getting your actual Peerplays tokens will happen from the Genesis block on the Peerplays blockchain. Now, if you want to see what your balance is going to be, you can go onto the Peerplays testnet right now and plug in your BitShares keys, and the testnet itself will reflect. It's a rough reflection. There's one thing that hasn't been included in the Genesis block, the current Genesis block, which is the BTS that were in open orders at the time. So it'll show you having slightly more than you're actually going to have, but it'll be a good rough estimate of what how many Peerplays tokens you're actually going to have. When the Peerplays blockchain launches. So if you want to see that number, just go to the Peerplays testnet, and you can put your BitShares private keys into that. Of course, that's more or less a clone of the current BitShares wallet right now. So your private keys, stay in your browser, just like they do in the BitShares wallet, and then that will unlock and show you approximately how many you're going to have on the Peerplays blockchain when that launches.
So it's basically you install a wallet pretty much like we did with the early Graphene and BitShares 2, and put the proper keys and all the information you need to put in there to connect it to the Peerplays blockchain, the testnet that is, and that's how you can look at that balance now.
Actually, the testnet is a hosted wallet through your browser, so you don't even need to spin up anything on your desktop. You just go to the site. I don't have the site in my memory, but give me a second and I'll plug it into the side channel here. Is the URL for the testnet right now, but it's a hosted wallet. So all you have to do is go to that URL, go to the import function, which I think is in the settings, in the wallet settings, and import the private keys from your BitShares account, and then that will show your Peerplays token balance.
Thank you.
No problem.
Real quick, Dad asked a question, and I think that we overlooked it. He asked, how might I help by running a testnet node? Like, I'm guessing he's asking what exactly would he be doing that would be helping?
Yeah, what kind of beta? Do you need beta testing? And if so, what sort of things should I be looking for if I'm running a node?
At this stage, I believe, because all of the nodes are being run, we're not actually testing the network software. We're testing the core, the native code on the chain that doesn't have anything to do with the network code. So the network code has pretty much been tested and been proven to work over these past couple of years with BitShares. And so because of that, all of the nodes are being run in the same place. All of the, basically how it works is that the majority of the testnet core tokens are being held, by block trades, and they're just voting for the witnesses that are all running out of their on their servers and in their offices. And so the running of testnet nodes is not really necessary. We're not using we haven't created a brand new consensus algorithm or network software that's running with Peerplays. This is all basically what BitShares is running. So in that regard, we don't really have any need for anyone to run separate nodes in the testnet.
Okay.
In terms of testing the software itself, unfortunately, or I should say maybe fortunately,
definitely fortunately.
We've also made the strategic decision to not release any of the the code itself on GitHub until we launch the blockchain, and we've done that for the reason because we've seen that the sort of open development process of continually showing everyone what you're doing leaves you open for something really loud is happening here. That leaves you open for competitors to be watching your every move and copying you. So because of that, there isn't there's no command line testing that can be done right now. As Jonathan mentioned, we do have a lot of the stuff implemented on the back end. The reason why it doesn't show yet is because it's getting stuff to work in the GUI is actually more of a difficult and lengthy process than implementing stuff on the back end. So in that regard, the testing that will be done on this testnet will all be with the GUI. Essentially just poking around and using the features and trying them out. I think when it gets to a certain stage, once we have everything sort of in the GUI, then it'll be a matter of testing out combinations of things and making sure everything runs smoothly, and of course putting together some tournaments and playing the game, right? And that's what we're excited about being able to do here. Hopefully within a couple of weeks, is start having some little mini tournaments so that everybody can try it out and see the reality of what's actually happening here. Because what we're doing is unlike anything else that anyone in blockchain space is capable of doing right now. Because graphene is a technology that is very specialized and is able to be used for this purpose, and that of course is having a game built into the blockchain itself, so that it's completely and utterly contained within the blockchain. There's no server anywhere that it's running on, and and people can wager their tokens on the blockchain, and the blockchain takes care of everything in a way that's fully provably fair. And of course, the other sort of unspoken advantage of this is that casino games and sports betting and many other things that are, I want to say highly restricted in many areas of the world. People are unable to participate and play with each other in certain ways. This is putting all of that into the blockchain space finally, so that just like Bitcoin and BitShares and many other blockchain projects, it's going to be outside of the reach of anyone who would seek to limit people's abilities to do these types of things. So that's going to be a pretty disruptive influence in certain industries in terms of our ability to do this without anyone really being able to stop it. And that's kind of how this whole blockchain space is oriented anyway. This is all inevitable, whether we do it or whether someone else does it. And since we have the tools and we have the knowledge and we have the capability, we decided to be the first ones to do this. And so in a couple of weeks, we're actually going to have that fully worked into the GUI. As Jonathan said, the majority of it is on the back end and has been pushed into the testnet. So we're just working on getting the last pieces together so that we can actually play the game in the GUI, and everyone can see how that works. And so that'll be the gist of the types of testing, quote unquote, that we'll be doing over the next month or two as we lead up to the crowd sale and as we lead up to, of course, the launch of the blockchain itself.
Out of curiosity, are the witnesses themselves going to be providing the random number generation, or how is that? Do you know how that's going to work?
I don't know the technicals behind the RNG. I don't think that there's any, dependence on, if you mean by, some sort of oracle, or if you just, I'm not sure how the entropy is generated, if that's what you're asking. I can't speak to the technicals of that. All I know is that we do have an on-chain random number generator, and if Dan Notestein says that it's mathematically secure and provable, then that's a pretty good indication that it is. So.
Sounds good. Well, I would like to have him on here at some point in time. You guys need to pat him on the back and be like, "Hey, Dan, talk about this a little bit," because I think this is something that now that the testnet's live, it would be kind of cool to show people, or to talk to them about
pretty
it.
important factor, I would think. I know we talked about it a lot in the early days of BitShares about doing gaming platforms and gaming types of things, and there was a lot of discussion about how the random number generators was to work, and Bytemaster mentioned how it wasn't good enough for his perspective on doing that type of thing. But I'm sure you guys have overcome it. But it would be interesting and probably an interest to a lot of people to hear how that is done technically.
Yeah, hopefully, I think within a couple of weeks here, everybody's got their head down, and like Jonathan mentioned last week, I think we've got 7 or 8 people now that are working on this on the coding side, and so we've been trying to get everything knocked out and ready to show. But I think once that happens and we have the game up and people are able to play, then we'd like to bring on Dan. Well, specifically just because he knows the technicals behind what's going on, and we can have that sort of be a show where people can ask more technical questions that unfortunately I'm not able to answer, with my knowledge of everything.
Well, I appreciate
You'll get there.
the answers that you do have, and I know that there's it's something where that's not your job, right? You don't get into the absolute deep technicals on this stuff, though you do understand obviously graphene and how this is all going to power it, and how which is to Elmato's earlier point, he said that graphene, that a lot of people were saying that graphene's like 2 to 3 years ahead of in the blockchain space. And what have we said for all of this time, right? We've said we are so far ahead with this technology that most people have no clue the value of it yet. And you're bringing this stuff to us every week. So thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments regarding the Peerplays project? G-Chicken2 asks, are you guys interested in doing any interviews at this stage to spread awareness, or would you like to wait for a later stage?
Yeah, Jonathan and I have both talked about moving in that direction, and it's going to happen pretty soon. As of right now, we're actually setting up the corporate structure for how the project is going to look moving forward, in terms of how the second crowd sale is going to work, how the money is going to be collected, where that's going to go, how it's going to be utilized. We're working on doing something that is relatively unique. There are a couple, actually just one other example out there that we know of that's similar to the corporate structure that we're setting up, and it's extremely solid and extremely it's going to be extremely good for everyone who donates in the second crowd sale, in terms of surety of everything working properly. So this is something, Jonathan said that the lawyers have been sort of, combing over all this with a fine-toothed comb. Naturally what we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, the potentially disruptive nature of what we're doing, even beyond a lot of other blockchain projects and what they're doing. I mean, we're talking about moving into the gambling and gaming industry with these things, and so it's very, very important, that we protect ourselves. We also protect, our capabilities of taking the money that we get from the crowd sale and making all of this happen for everybody. So that's going actually really well, and we've made a lot of sort of breakthroughs, and we're using the building blocks of everything that's sort of come before. Where this is even in the legal world. There's not a lot of precedent for what we're doing. There's not a lot of statute law that really covers the edge cases of defining what it is that we're doing. Some things fall within certain boundaries, and some things are totally off the reservation. So we've sort of had to put together a framework that that we think once we do this may very well be an example for others to follow in terms of doing this type of thing correctly. And Lord knows we've seen many different crypto projects come and go here in the last few years, especially when it comes to funding. It's really kind of been there's been a lot of irresponsibility, mismanagement. I'd even go as far to say some outright fraud that's happened in terms of raising money and where that money is going for certain crypto projects.
Certainly.
And
this is the wild, wild west, baby.
Yeah, so in that regard, we feel it's really, really important to sort of voluntarily create some framework that again, like I said, if we put this together in the way that we're looking to put it together in the way that it's actually coming together right now, and we raise the money that we raise, and everyone sees the way that it goes, I think it's going to set a bar a little bit higher for what should be expected from some of these projects in terms of just going out there and saying, hey, we've got this idea, and everyone's excited about this, and there's a lot of people that don't really do their due diligence, unfortunately, and or they just want to get in because it's the possibility seems too good to be true, and but in the end it's nobody really benefits if there isn't some sort of checks and balances within the whole framework of who's getting the money and how the money's being spent and things like that. So that's what we're working on.
That's one of the biggest things, yeah.
And that's why it's taken just a little bit longer in terms of getting all the information about our next crowd sale out, but that's coming shortly. So when that does come, I think we're going to be on a really solid foundation in terms of in terms of all the legal side of it. So,
did you say the specific date of when the testnet game was going to be launched?
No, I'm not really allowed to say specific dates anymore, just because it's a programming thing, and programming is kind of an unfolding phenomenon. In real time, it doesn't. I've yet to hear of a project that's been able to be specific about anything when it comes to future dates. There's always a rounded estimate, and so in that regard. Like I said, I can tell you what's actually happened already, which is that the back end code is pretty much ready to go. It's just implementing it into the GUI, which is actually the difficult part in most of this. It's the GUI stuff is more difficult than implementing the core native blockchain code. That's all just C++. It's all basic back-end stuff. It's not hard to get all that working, believe it or not. But when it comes to getting it to perform correctly in a GUI, that's where a lot of the challenges come from.
Fair enough. I mean, this is it's really good news to me that the back end is pretty much where it needs to be. Right? That's the foundation. That's like if you're building the house, that's the what everything else in the house is going to rely on. So I'm glad to hear that that's been kind of accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, graphene is really pretty amazing in that regard. Like we just, I mean, we've taken on this project, and our focus is the gaming and gambling industry. But I'll tell you, there's so much that can be done with this. There's so many industries that can be, that can benefit from this type of thing. It's not really black and white. There's many things that go into understanding how to integrate this into sort of the world at large. I mean, we've got different strategies that we're looking at putting into place when we start actually rolling these things out, because unfortunately it's not just a case of, if you build it, they will come, right? That's what everyone, would love to be, or if you hype it. Well, if you hype it, sometimes that works, but, I think that there's levels to this that have to sort of be finessed, or the understanding of where things are at currently and what the needs are of current players, and what's going to convince people to leave wherever it is they're currently doing their business and come over to do business with you. You've got to think of this first and foremost as a business, and it's not just a sort of a utopian fantasy, which I think is sort of a tendency of a lot of blockchain projects or people that use these things. They think, oh, well, this is so wonderful. Everyone's just going to see that it's wonderful and it's going to change the world. And at the end of the day, you really have to. It comes down to the nuts and bolts of whether or not it's going to save people money. What is it? Even if it's going to save them money, or if it's going to save them time, sometimes even those two things isn't enough to break the inertia of whatever it is they're currently doing. So there's a lot to consider, and but in any case, I mean, in terms of the foundation, as you put it, Fuzzy. It's absolutely solid with graphene. I mean, we've only implemented the game and a few other features, but the things that we have to implement going forward once the blockchain is launched, I mean, it's I wish I could tell you guys about it all, because it's all. I hesitate to say that it's relatively simple, because it's not simple, but it's very straightforward.
Well, that's the nice thing about graphene. It's simple in an elegant way. Gives you this one primitive, basically JSON, etc., and then you go to town with it. It's great.
Yeah, it's again. I mean, I know I've said this a bunch of times, but it's worth repeating that it absolutely blows us away that more people haven't come and looked at this and tried to take it up as a tool for whatever it is they're trying to build, because it really is. Yeah, it's simple and elegant. It's still years ahead of its time, and it's been out for over a year, and the basic graphene code is MIT licensed. It's free to use. So. But in any case,
you can custom build your own chains. I mean, and to what you were saying, crypto, all these different industries that it can disrupt. I mean, I know that Dan Robles is working on using the blockchain for insurance. That's what he's interested in, the first use case, and he said that the speed and scalability and the flexibility of graphene-based blockchains to be able to make themselves just decentralized enough and just centralized enough, and find that sweet spot. Those are the things that he says that are the reasons why he's using it. And then you have things like copyright, right? You have Muse, which I don't know where that's going or if it's going anywhere, but something like that could be a project that could be picked up tomorrow by somebody who's just invested a bunch of into the tokens and wants to work on a hobby project. Something like that is it's powerful. I mean, you look at and I keep saying this to people, Steam has surpassed both Ethereum's combined on transactions, on total transactions. That means that this blockchain has proven it scales past both of the Ethereums together combined, and that's within months of it being launched, right? So what are these other blockchains like Peerplays and BitShares capable of? The same thing. Right.
The interesting thing to me is the way that it does more in terms of transactions per second. Steam or Graphene, both really, they do more by clearly and deliberately doing less. I like the setup.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about the design, the decisions that were made going into the design of it, and I think part of the genius of what was recognized, by Dan Larimer and also by everyone in Blacksburg who created it, was really what was important and what wasn't important. And there were a lot of false assumptions that they sort of dismissed or proved false through the creation of this, and a lot of it had to do with to what degree decentralization is necessary, in order to create that level of security, and how many ways were these other chains sacrificing everything on the altar of creating greater and greater levels of certain, I use the term decentralization loosely, but, there's the whole idea that after a certain amount of hash power, it becomes redundant, and the cost that you're paying for more hash power doesn't at all match up, with the increased security that you're receiving. So, but the incentives are aligned in such a way that, the hash power just keeps piling on because everyone's trying to go after this digital gold. And, there's all these things that were sort of disproven in a way that unfortunately I think a lot of us watched it happen and saw that there was a lot of animosity that came from other communities because nobody likes to be told that they're wrong, right? Or nobody likes to have something that they're working on be sort of proven as inefficient or not the best way, especially when they've invested time and money. And the way that a lot of people work in this world is it's difficult for people to pivot or to, people's opinions get tied up where their pocketbook is. Their objectivity is sacrificed because they have skin in a particular game, and so it's kind of the whole root for the home team phenomenon that blinds you to the reality that your home team sucks.
Absolutely. Well, not even the reality that your home team sucks. The reality that your home team is an alpha. That's what Bitcoin is, and it's great. It's actually probably one of the most incredible software projects that's happening on Earth, but it's also just an alpha. It's always going to be an alpha. It's the first. That's that.
Yeah, I mean the biggest issue, we have a sort of an explosion of this space that is, you could say parallels the whole, tech startup stuff in the late '90s, right, or the early 2000s. But there's a huge distinction, I think, that can be made in that. These are, first of all, these are all experiments at their very core, right? I mean, everyone's doing their best to be as sort of responsible and business-minded as possible in terms of, making their best effort towards building something that's going to make everyone, money, but also, and maybe as a side effect, help to change the world, right? But, I think what a lot of the main distinction here between this and the whole software tech boom sort of in the early '90s is that all of these experiments, are tying people's money and resources up, and that's necessary in order to prove the experiments. It's kind of like, it's almost a chicken and egg problem. Like, we can't do economic experiments without having people's money tied up in them, and that is dangerous. And there's a lot of emotions tied up in that, right? I mean, money is sort of at the root of our security and emotions and sanity in that way, even, and so having things happen to lose money and it's difficult. It's difficult for everybody, and it requires a lot of sort of strength and robustness in our attitudes and our let alone our pocketbooks, in order to fully arrive at something here or arrive at blockchains that are actually going to, be sort of the next phase of this whole thing.
Well, I'll say
we've had search query language for like 30 years now.
Well, for that, real quick, I just have to let you guys all know we're about 35 minutes with Peerplays, so I'm wanting to
Well, I'll just sort of mute myself then.
No, you're fine, dude. There's no problem. It's just the fact that I have to.
Because I could go on forever, you know that.
Well,
No,
that's actually partially what the after party's for, right? We have this formal little thing where we're drinking our champagne and smoking our cigars and talking about blockchain technology and listening to guest speakers who come on and talk about whatever they're doing that is enabled or empowered by blockchain technology in some way, right? And we can go very far into this area and wade out into the deep water. But I will say that for the new people, I like to end every segment for them. Is there anything that crypto that you would say if somebody is a newbie and they want to learn more, how would they go about doing so, and how would they or how would somebody else contact you if they needed to?
yeah, that's great, Fuzzy. Thank you. First of all, I would say check out our main website, which is peerplays.com, and also we have a news site, which is updated pretty regularly, as often as we can, which is peerplays.com/news. We have a Rocket Chat channel, which is basically like a Slack channel. That's at https://peerplays.chat. And then also, if you go on to Bitcoin Talk and BitShares Talk, we have a Peerplays thread on both of those boards as well. And you can find direct contact information on the Peerplays website. If you need to contact any of us directly, that information is on there. And Steam,
Awesome.
of course. I can't forget about Steam. We also have a Peerplays. Our handle on Steam is just Peerplays. That's where all the Peerplays announcements and everything is posted there. So if you like what you're doing, like what we're doing, please upvote us on Steam.
Good point. Might as well get some extra upvotes. And I guess that would go for everybody here who joins up. This is something that just in the transition before we go and move on to CM Steem from the Gridcoin project. We have the ability to do some really cool stuff with this stuff. And what you see people like Crypto Prometheus and CM Steem and Rubelite and all these different people, and not just you who are joining. We have probably close to 1,000 listens every week between SoundCloud and YouTube, somewhere around there. So we have a lot of people who listen, and if you're listening and you pay attention to what these people are doing and you have a blockchain project that you want to build, follow the lead of the people who are using this the way that it's supposed to be used, because they've been sitting around thinking about the same stuff that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And I know that you guys all understand how this works because we all have this history, this rich history, right? So I really want to just let everybody know, these guys are doing it. They're leveraging the platform. And I'm glad to see those of you who are doing that. I'm glad to see all of you kind of growing into that and learning that this is the kind of way to build up your following and leverage it, right? So with that said, we are now at CM Steem for Gridcoin with 14 upvotes. Are you there, CM Steem?
Hey, can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Perfect, buddy.
Excellent.
Now, for those who are listening, I just want to say you're custom miner in here. So if anybody calls you custom miner, that's the same as CM Steem.
Yeah, I'm custom miner from the Gridcoin community. I've got a few things to discuss today. The first of which is a pre-announcement for a BOINC workshop in 2017. This was announced by David Anderson, the lead developer of the BOINC project. There hasn't been a workshop for the last 2 years because of the NSF US funding was pulled from the Boink project. So yeah, this is going to be great. It's going to catch up on a lot of new developments that are going on.
Oh,
They are.
so
We're
this
going to
is
be
big.
having. Yeah, definitely. We're going to be having short talks, tutorials, discussions, and potentially like a hackathon. So it's like a 4-day event, and it's going to be around. We're still kind of working out the details. The entire Bond community, that is, and it's hopefully going to be around April, May, June kind of time. If anyone's interested, then I'll post a bunch of links. Sorry if that comes off a bit spammy, but those are like everything I got to say today.
Oh, you're good, man. I mean, you're using this for the right reasons. This is actually what it's here for, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we're still looking for like the venue we're going to hold it in. It's going to be in Europe, the workshop. That's still open for discussion. If anyone's got a good venue in Europe near mountains, David Anderson requests, then please do post in that Steam thread that I created for the Boink workshop. Hope to maybe see some of you. I will be attending if I can, if it's being held in June, that is. So moving on to the next topic I've got to discuss is just reminding everyone that Gridcoin has been integrated into the BitShares decentralized exchange through OpenLedger using the open.grc token, which is brilliant. That's an exchange-backed asset. So you can trade directly Gridcoin to pretty much every trading pair on BitShares. So we're hopefully going to be having, we're looking into potentially making like our own custom view for maybe, the standalone light client, or maybe even the web client that's a bit more difficult, especially like kind of regulations and stuff. So the light client standalone thing that's more feasible. So yeah, check that out. Trade it, buy some Gridcoin. Moving on to moving on to the next topic. This is all kind of stuff that's happened the last couple of weeks. Gridcoin has been integrated into Coinomi. We had paid for that a couple months ago, but now it's just gone through. So if you want to hold Gridcoin on your Android device, you need to add the beta version of the Coinomi wallet. With this, integration into this multi-wallet in Android, it means that you can run a modified Boink client on your Android device, pointed at one of the Gridcoin pools, either KT's or SuchFlex's pool, and then have that Gridcoin sent directly to your Android device. So you've got an entire, you can pretty much earn Gridcoin directly with just an Android device, with no startup costs, and you don't actually have to have like a PC to run a standalone Gridcoin client, which is brilliant. It really opens.
Really cool. Now, out of curiosity, I hate to ask this, but people who have these devices who are just very new to cryptocurrency, many of whom are listening since Steem came into existence. For these people, is it bound by the amount of computation that the computer can do? Should they not go in expecting a lot of Gridcoin to be earned by doing this?
I mean, ultimately, you're rewarded proportionally to the amount of computation you put in, right? So some projects are only graphics cards projects, some are CPU projects only, and anyone can make a Boink project. So if you've got an idea for, like, say, a distributed sensor network that utilizes like Android devices, this exact scenario, that would be a way for Android users to earn more than they currently would. At the moment, yeah, if you're using an Android device to crunch, a CPU project where, you're competing against someone that's got maybe a couple hundred CPU cores, then yeah, you're not going to earn a crazy amount, you can earn a few Gridcoin potentially, but with the pool, you will get that, and like weekly payouts, or it might be increased more frequently. If you've only got the one Android device, don't expect to like make amazing riches or anything like that. potentially, if we do see new BOINC projects being created specifically for mobile devices to take advantage of the multiple sensors that are now in mobile phones, then the profitability of an Android device may increase significantly. Because
My lord.
yeah, currently we reward BOINC projects equally. So if you create a new BOINC project and get it whitelisted in the Gridcoin network, then you'll potentially see a significant amount of people direct Android devices at it, because if you're going to be earning the same amount of Gridcoin in that Android project versus a project that's got tens of thousands of CPU cores pointed at it.
Yeah, so it's based on the project and what it requires.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be smart in picking the specific projects. If you pick a project where you're contributing a CPU core or whatever, and you're competing against people that got graphics cards, you won't earn much. But if you pick a project that's best for your device, like Android, you've got Enigma at Home, which is cracking Enigma codes. You've got World Community Grid. I think you've got even SETI at Home, and they do reward pretty well for Android devices. So there are definitely options. It's not like you're going to earn nothing. It's definitely, you can still earn some Gridcoin.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. I just wanted to ask because we kind of don't dig into those simple concepts for, this is a basic kind of idea, right? That various projects are going to require different types of hardware, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 29 different BOINC projects at the moment, and they range from CPU only to graphics cards. We used to reward Bitcoin Utopia, which was effectively people pointing ASICs and at a pool, and then that money was donated or whatever, and we kind of subsidized that. We no longer do that. A problem with sensor networks is that you are potentially leaking your geographical location. So as soon as we manage to potentially obfuscate your geographical location or whatever, then that will become far more feasible, especially for the privacy concerned individuals in cryptocurrency scene.
Yeah, Gridcoin is so underestimated. It is very underestimated.
Fada in the chat is saying,
gas.
what if you want to leak your real-time location? You can do so by joining say Quake Catcher BOINC project, where you have an accelerometer that will
That's cool.
detects earthquakes as they happen. But yeah, as I say,
And you get actual Gridcoins for detecting that?
No, that's the problem at the moment. That's not a whitelisted project. The reason being was that it came up for a whitelist evaluation, and the community voted against it because you are pretty much linking your BOINC identity to your exact geographical location, which means if there's only a couple people in your country doing it, then someone could be like, all right, let's rob this place, So if we can get rid of that, potential data risk, then it's a far more feasible project category.
But as long as you have a community working on those types of projects and who have identified the problem, eventually those things will get fixed. That's cool. And I didn't want to take you too far off, of course, but it's something that we tend to get lost in the details, giving our updates, and a lot of people might not know exactly what Gridcoin is, and that was kind of something that a good place to plug it, I guess.
Yeah. G Chicken in the chat is asking, is there a BOINC project that cracks password hashes? It's currently no. There was previously a rainbow table generation project that's no longer active. We have talked about the theory behind password cracking BOINC project, and I think the 9th and 10th Gridcoin Hangouts, but there's a serious gray area legally, and also you have issues of how to verify someone's actually attempted to crack a hash or whatever, if how to prevent someone faking it, that's those are kind of things you have to overcome for that. But yeah, moving on. It's kind of gray area. It's not a brilliant topic. So
but
yeah,
you guys do have hangouts yourselves that people could come and talk about this stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to mention this. So we are holding our 11th Gridcoin Community Hangout tomorrow. It's 9 p.m. GMT. If you want to come join us, that'd be brilliant. We can get into the specifics about all of this if you want. I've in the bunch of links I dumped at the beginning of my chat. The Hangout link is there. So yeah, we've had 10 Hangouts. We've only uploaded 8 at the moment. We've got a bit of a backlog for editing, but so yeah, you got to turn up to hear the content. On the topic of holding the Hangouts, I've put forward a proposal for funding, the participants of our Hangouts through the Gridcoin expenses system. So potentially we'll distribute maybe like $50 worth of Gridcoin onto those who participate like on a weekly basis now, just so that your time's kind of rewarded.
That is a wonderful idea, man. We'll have to talk a little bit about that because you really get deep into share drop theory too, and that's a passion of mine. It's very, yeah. So you're essentially going to be able to give people who participate in the Hangouts some Gridcoin.
Yeah, that's the plan. At the moment, we've not really worked out any kind of like elaborate method of registering your Gridcoin address. It's just like post your Gridcoin address in a Steam thread, and if you participate, you'll get some Gridcoin. So that's the system we're going with, just for like a trial period,
Sure. I think it's a great idea, man. Because whenever we ran the Hangouts and passed out, whenever we had the ShareBot was working pretty well and we could distribute some tokens, we would get upwards of 80 or 90 people within a couple months from just giving tokens, from about 40 people to about 80 or 90 people. I think we even had above 100 at one point during a Hangout, just because we could distribute tokens to the people who joined. Right? I mean, it's DKP, baby.
Yeah, that'd be a great goal for us. I think the most we've had is about 23 people joining us. I think that was, every time I come and attend these Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts, we do have a spike in users that attend like the following day. So it's good to attend these, At the moment, we have kind of dropped back down to like about 10 dedicated users that are talking, and like several of the users, they were brand new users to the Gridcoin community, and like they just joined the Hangouts, and now they're pretty much core users within like a month. It's brilliant. It's very transparent, cool. So moving on to, I've only got a couple topics left to discuss. Discussing Project Rain. So I put a link out for this. The concept of Project Rain is distributing crypto assets to BOINC users. There's 36 supported cryptocurrencies at the moment. I think 5 of those are social network types, like your Steam, your Likey, and stuff like that. And there's a few that are like your DAX or DAOs supported. Perhaps we could work out a BOINC project that integrates that somehow. But yeah, the advantage of this is that there's no real team requirement for this, so everyone can join up. Currently, the Gridcoin network only really rewards about 0.5% of the total active BOINC user base, despite being in like overall like first world place for active computation. So there's a real possibility that once this BOINC project is live, that you could distribute a crypto asset to up to there's currently about over 500,000 active BOINC users. So even if like 100,000 joined up, that's double the size of the largest share drop, I believe, which was the Aurora coin share drop. I'm not sure potentially if like the share drops between BTSX and BTS were larger. That's not quite documented.
Just real quick, while you're bringing up Aurora coin, for those who are not familiar, that was the coin that they share dropped on the residents of Iceland, right? They did it during a time when Iceland had just gone through imprisoning or jailing their bankers for signing them onto a bunch of fraudulent debts, right? So that's just a little bit of history, but continue on. So you're saying that you've share dropped, or this is an enabled share dropping of double the population of Iceland, essentially?
Well, the problem with their share drop mechanism was that you had to prove your identity. So you had to link it to like your Facebook account or, something along those lines. With Project Rain, all you need is to sign up to the website and be, contributing your computer resources to external BOINC projects. And since there's 36 different supported cryptocurrencies, potentially if you're crunching one BOINC project, you'll be receiving multiple Rained assets over time, and profitability of crunching BOINC projects will increase.
So yeah, that's cool. Now, please continue. I don't want to cut you off too much as you're going through, but these are some valuable lessons for people that I like to plug in there occasionally.
Yeah, well, just to name a couple cryptocurrencies that are supported off the top of my head, like Steem, BitShares, and Peerplays are supported. So if you had BitShares, you could create a user-issued asset for a couple dollars and then distribute it to several thousand users quite easily. So it's a way of promoting your cryptocurrency platform
to a demographic that would be very highly interested in this type of stuff.
Indeed. I mean, if you compare, it's worth going to the Project Rain link that I linked on Steam, because I go into depth of who would want to use this share dropping vector, and it kind of boils down to, like, if you run an ICO, right, for say a distributed computing project or whatever, like Golem, for example, they reward distributed computing. You're distributing the asset based on investment, right? But those investors may not actually have computing resources to back up this distributed or decentralized computing network, right? Whereas if you were to rain even, like, I don't know, 5% onto BOINC users, these users have proven computer resources. Some of these guys have thousands of computer cores. It's pretty crazy what some of the guys have at their disposal. So it's definitely worth considering if you need to recruit individuals with significant computing power at their disposal.
And that, again, is customizable for all kinds of different things.
Exactly. I mean, like, you could create a BOINC project, back it with your cryptocurrency of choice, and then potentially make it commercial and make, like, an economy within the BOINC project. There's crazy amounts of possibilities, which I'll definitely go into well more depth in tomorrow's Hangout. If anyone's interested, please attend. The only real last thing I have to discuss today is discussing Gridcoin's interest in potentially becoming a sidechain in the future. I investigated creating a market pegged asset for Gridcoin, but with not very liquid assets, we had this massive spike in value, and then it dropped off like a day later or something, and it caused like a black swan event, which hasn't been resolved. And we created a few threads on BitShares talk, but it never really picked up that much steam for the last few weeks. So
there were some people who were kind of interested in that I read who were interested in fixing it. They said that there was a way of resolving it. I believe that was PC. I would contact him on the forums, because the thing is, I mean, worker proposals can be set up for this stuff, and this is part of the learning curve, right?
Yeah, I just linked here. The thread you're talking about, it's like the minimum required changes to revive a market pegged asset after a black swan event. My only problem is that potentially we could see this black swan event happening like again and again, because Gridcoin's quite a bursty kind of cryptocurrency in trading volume at the moment. We'll go through like
periods of small market cap stocks.
Yeah, it's like periods of low kind of trading volume, but like the 4 or 5 figure range, and then like we'll have a big event, like we'll get on the front page of Reddit and it will spike, and this kind of scenario will potentially reoccur. So yeah, I posted on the blockchain bunker forums. They didn't have much activity in the past. They were like, what cryptocurrencies should we potentially investigate as a future sidechain, in the future? So I just posted there, Gridcoin's interested. So,
That's actually a really good call, though, because then you don't even need a market pegged asset. Then you can actually create one-for-one Gridcoin UIA that's backed 100% by Gridcoin from the Gridcoin network.
Yeah, exactly. The problem with like just creating a UIA on its own without a sidechain is that it's kind of like effectively issuing new Gridcoin. Potentially, we could burn some Gridcoin on the Gridcoin network and then issue those coins on the on the BitShares network. But potentially, then we might see those graphene-based Gridcoin being worth more than what they should be, or how would we increase the supply cap and stuff? So it's definitely something we can look into in the meantime. But a sidechain would be quite interesting. I think we should definitely look into pushing a worker proposal for that in the future.
Definitely. Do you have people who are interested in doing that?
At the moment, not massively. We're kind of lacking in developers, to be honest. Everyone's kind of focused on Gridcoin a little bit. I'm kind of like, reaching out to other, crypto communities to see how to boost Gridcoins,
Well, I would say from what I've heard, and maybe somebody here can tell me if they've heard otherwise, but the quote was for a side chain, at least early on, because obviously, more of these processes would become a little bit more automated, at least in the places where they could. And that early on, that these side chains could cost upwards of 100,000. Now, I don't know how correct that is, but that's something.
Yeah, isn't it like 100,000 for the first one, but then the consecutive, side chains after which would be considerably cheaper, because the initial work has already been done after the first 100,000, so it's not like 100,000 per side chain, Is Fuzzy just disconnected there?
Yeah, it does seem like he did. Weird. I'm sure he'll be back, though. Oh, here he is.
Welcome back. You
Can't
you
take
there?
me down.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Did you catch what I said just before you get disconnected?
Of course I didn't, but that's okay. We can continue moving on because we're about 3 minutes until the end of your 30-minute period. But I would like to say, if there's anybody else who wants to bring anything up to Custom Miner, this would be a good time.
Yep. Any questions? I can answer them far more thoroughly tomorrow in our own Hangout.
Well, I'll say this. You guys have 14 people who upvoted you this time, right? And I see you guys consistently writing content and posting it on Steemit, and I'm watching you guys your people get paid pretty decently on Steemit, the more content that they've produced. So I just want to thank you for utilizing this tool, because this is something that's very important. And I can tell that it's actually significantly helping you guys, and that you guys are also utilizing 14 people is a lot of people to have who would be upvoting your content for this early on in Steemit. I'm sure you're probably in the the 80 percentile to 85 percentile just for the upvotes, not on here. And that's not including the upvotes that you're getting for your content, your actual, the Gridcoin community updates and stuff like that, and the Hangouts. So thanks for utilizing the tools that we're building and helping us to kind of understand how what is being constructed here and how we're trying to build it. You're giving us feedback and showing me in a way how you plan on using various tools in your toolbox, and it's cool that we can have that kind of synergy here. So thank you.
Cheers. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk here.
Man, this is one of the best types of conversation topics I think that we could be having, that we can surround ourselves around a big bonfire and talk about, because this is world-changing stuff, and there are negative things that can be done using blockchain technology too, which is something that we need to talk about sometimes. But there's a lot of good that we can be doing with it, and I think that Gridcoin is so ridiculously underestimated at this point in time that it's insane to me, because it's the community is as old or older actually than Bitcoin. Gridcoins are just are a late phase introduction to this community. Before they were doing
totally.
this without getting tokens.
Yeah.
So Gridcoin will never die, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, well, it's Blank's been around for over 10 years. It'll be around for another 50, so will Gridcoin.
I suspect you're right. That's why I hold some Gridcoin, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, well, thank you very much. And real quick, before we move on, how can people get in contact with you guys for the Gridcoin project if they want to work on something with you? Or how can they find you guys?
On Steam, it's hashtag Gridcoin. Go to the active page because trending is quite quiet. Our website's gridcoin.us, and our main forum is on CryptoCoin Talk, and we're pretty much the main sub-forum there, Gridcoin. We've also got a very active IRC presence, so that's hashtag Gridcoin on Freenode. So I look forward to meeting everyone in the future, Cheers.
Well, thank you, man. Okay, so next up, at number 3 this week, just right behind CM Steam with $2.07 and 11 upvotes is Rubolite Faye. Are you there, Ruby?
I'm here.
You're going to be talking a little bit about SteemitCity.
I can do that. We've also got Fadat and Menta here.
Is Menta able to talk or no?
Relatively.
He's on mute.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and step down and let you guys talk a little bit about what SteemitCity is and kind of maybe take some questions. You got about 30 minutes.
Cool. So, we're SteemitCity, and we start from the belief that if you put smart, friendly people together, good things will happen. Steemit is doing exactly that in a virtual way, and we want to take that a step further and put people together physically to live and work in a cooperative community that embraces digital money. It'll be a place where people can collaborate on crypto projects, especially in the short term. But our aim is to become an incubator for tech projects, like a wider array of them. We welcome any nationality in SteemitCity, and this is one of the main reasons we chose to base out of Cambodia, their visa rules allow anybody to enter really easily. We're starting small and practical, and obviously we're going to grow organically from there. So our first steps include renting a guest house, a hotel, or apartment block. We thought we would start with a smaller villa, but it looks like we're already growing fast enough that we need to get a larger place like a hotel. They're surprisingly cheap in Siem Reap, Cambodia. There's more tourists there than actual residents, apparently. And these two guys can tell you more about the city since they're there now. Everyone who's living in SteemitCity will pay a monthly fee to cover expenses. Our primary calculations put this somewhere between $300 and $400 a month per resident. That includes rent, high-speed internet, and all utilities. Pretty much everything but food. As more people join, the costs will drop. We're not looking to make SteemitCity a for-profit business, but we need to at least break even. I suspect we will start seeing profits after not too long. So once we do start seeing those, we'll put that money aside for maintenance and expansion. We are looking to help our members make profits from their projects. And we're also discussing paying out annual dividends to members once we're in the black, like any other co-op does. We believe that a lower cost of living will enable people to have a higher quality lifestyle that they choose for themselves. So it's definitely our goal to have our members' costs as low as we can.
That is
Did I
really
cover
cool.
everything, guys?
Pretty much. I mean, so that's the core idea. And, so from that's like the base, what Rube just mentioned there. And then off of that base is anything you want. That's kind of the point. Real life is expensive. If I were in the States, my monthly budget would probably be about $3,000 a month, $4,000, $5,000 even. It's easy to hit that. Right now I'm actually in Hanoi, and my monthly expenses, including moving to Siem Reap this month, are probably about $1,500. And once I'm in Siem Reap, it's okay. A little bit about the place. It's fairly isolated, but it's not isolated because you got a big ass international airport. You have genuine rural areas, maybe 10, 15 minutes away from that airport. Very friendly people in the city, and generally just extremely low expenses, especially on the real estate side of things. So, at about 1 year in, the goal is to kind of get out of the city a little bit, get some land, not necessarily buy it, but maybe buy it if we can, even though it's illegal. That's a very complex shit, but maybe we can, maybe we can't. Anyway, acquire some land for either a term of like 50 years or a term of like forever, and then, build structures on it and experiment with design for better living. Now, within the context of that experiment, you have all the people living there, doing their own experiments and projects. And, this kind of gets into the economy of it a little bit. It's definitely about building wealth both individually and as a community. My weird travels have definitely helped me a great deal, economically speaking. So much of that has had to do with the things I don't spend money on. The other part of that, though, is the opportunity of making new connections. That's something that we're going to try to push forward quite a bit, too. I don't know if anybody from our Chinese community is here today, but one of the things that I'm going to be trying to do when we arrive there is pitching SteemitCity to them as a way to get around the Great Firewall. Last time I went to China, one of the things that I heard, I thought this phrase was just hilarious. It was, well, Fankang is jumping over the wall, but I forget the word for body. It was jumping over the wall with your body, meaning leaving China to get around the Great Firewall. And that's apparently becoming like a thing there these days. So that's, a little bit about my thoughts on it, but it's not designed to be super structured. It's designed to be something that helps you get what you want out of your life.
So this is kind of going back to what we've talked about a while back, where you were talking about having your own cooperative, essentially, that shares all the resources. Now, is this going to be one of the components that I remember you bringing up, and nobody else is aware of this yet, but was the use of your own internet that you control? What are your thoughts on that? Like, are you guys thinking about that as something that will be part of the cooperative?
What do you mean by your own internet that you control? What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, you were the one who was talking about it to me back in the day, probably about a year and a half ago, if you recall. It was
I recall, and you're definitely talking about MetaDev, but about having, it's not really about control exactly. It's more about having extremely stable internet access and enhancing the value of the real estate by saturating it in bandwidth. I measure real estate value in a very unconventional way. I measure real estate value in gigabits per square meter. The denser it is, the higher the value.
Ruby Light, you're more than welcome to speak out. You're really quiet.
I just don't know, where to go from here. Feel free to ask any questions, guys.
Well,
Maybe.
because... Yeah, go ahead.
Should I throw some deep background to everybody here, maybe?
Sure.
All right, so I've been living in Vietnam for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. Fuck, it has been 2 years. Wow. Yeah, it's 2 years. October 4th. Shit, that's today.
Yeah, dude. Time passes
pretty it's exactly 2 years
quickly,
now.
Doesn't it?
So I've been living in Vietnam for exactly 2 years. I left China during the Occupy Central protests. I love the city of Shenzhen in China. It's my favorite city in the world. I think it's the best city in the world for 1,000,001 reasons. Also, they don't have the fucking internet. And that's a problem. So eventually I left because I really wanted to have access to the internet. But to make a long story short here, about 18 months ago, yeah, Fuzzy, you're exactly right. About 18 months ago, I kind of like sideline inherited sort of a 5,000 square meter former Chinese restaurant and manufacturing facility. You can't make this shit up. And we called that MetaDev. And MetaDev was a couple of things. It was a risk pool for startups and more like entrepreneurial projects that might not become a startup. Both, though. We were aiming at both of those. And it was also a co-working space with a really cool garden in a really crazy building that eventually, the end of MetaDev, that was kind of crazy. But Anyway,
It doesn't sound like the end of MetaDev. It sounds like SteamCity is taking on a lot of elements. That's why I bring it up.
oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, because it's very logical, and you can see this sort of thing springing up in a bunch of places around the globe. From like WeWork co-working spaces, that's sort of an example of a similar thing, to larger scale projects or these so-called housing communities. And I think that's what sort of drew Ruben to this. Am I correct? Because you worked on something similar, is that right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny because I kind of see this as a combination of tech incubator and intentional community, and that's where I was coming in from. Oh God, I don't know. Over the past 2 years, there's been a few different attempts here in my hometown to start an intentional community, but not a commune out in the country separated from everybody, but to actually start an urban intentional community. And basically by taking over a block, buying up houses one by one. But, after a few months of a lot of work, it became obvious that I was the only one really driving. A lot of people wanted to see it happen, but not very many people actually wanted to do the work to get it started, right? So when I saw this going on with SteemitCity, I was like, well, here it is. This is what I've been looking for, because it's not quite as hippie-ish as a commune is. It's got that tech orientation. And, Minta and Fadat are obviously passionate about it as I am.
Yeah, and like the community aspect is actually pretty important to the tech aspect. In that startup communities form from a concentration of knowledge and ability, and that does not, in good startup networks, there have been analyses of this. This does not stay within one company or one organization. Failures happen, knowledge moves to another organization, and it's a diffuse community of knowledge that, hopefully we can all use to enable one another in a whole bunch of different ways.
And also, I want to say that I personally see left brain innovative projects and right brain innovative projects as complementing one another. Now, they may not directly do that, but to me, when you're presented with something new and creative and just out of left field, it helps you to think of other things that you never would have thought of before, whether
Outside
it's
the box, yeah.
tech, art, music, whatever.
Hybrid projects do really well. Look at the field of data visualization. In fact, I'm looking to. Hey, anybody do art? I'm looking to visualize blockchains, and I'm having a difficult time with the visual design aspect of that. So if anybody here has an interest in art/design and maybe a little bit of code, I can handle most of the code. Please do let me know, because I have the back end written for some very cool visualization stuff. And I like, orange ties and green shirts. Most people don't. You got to make the graphics more most people friendly.
I'd just like to add one possibility in that, in addition to being an incubator and an intentional community, you think about making this a movie project. The reason for that being it's another potential profit center, but also it gives you cover when you're dealing with government officials about creative or anarchic ways of living. Yeah, so you're not creating an anarchic community. You're doing a movie about people creating that.
Are you saying so if somebody tries to cut off their heads, they have it on video, and they can be like, it's live streaming right now, but boys. So
How'd you know? That's exactly what I was thinking.
No, I think that's really smart. I
yeah.
don't foresee those kind of legal problems because we're not we're just eschewing the norms. We're not actively fighting the norms, if that makes sense. And like I said, phase 1 of this project is to buy up an old hotel, or I should say rent out a hotel. And so, we'll be a part of the community for sure. We're going to keep a few of those rooms running because personally, I would like to do a thing where, there's going to be backpackers, there's going to be travelers coming through. And if we can offer them a room and discount it by trading out them writing a Steemit article and then posting it through our, account.
That's cool.
That, like, what traveler doesn't have a story they want to tell and wouldn't want to do that for a discounted rate?
Ruby.
So I think we can be integrated into the city as well. And now this is just, go ahead.
Yeah, if anybody has kids, that's where you're going to run into issues. If you want to educate them in the way you want to educate them, if kids are instead child actors, that's almost, they get a free pass. They get to be homeschooled. They're put in a special category.
Well, actually, that's a totally Amero-centric viewpoint. It's not really an issue there. If a foreigner, now if a Cambodian person wanted to pull their kid from school, basically this is kind of bad, in fact, but the policy is, well, if you're rich, okay, and otherwise your kid goes to school. But in our case, as outsiders, well, I mean, we're definitely taking advantage of that status as outsiders. But the rules for expat kids are generally non-existent. And that's one of the wonderful things about, being an expat. So much is you just sort of, you get out of that grid,
under the radar.
The grid you're speaking of.
And a lot of people ask why Cambodia. These this is one of the biggest reasons why Cambodia, because they just, as somebody said once, I can't remember who, they forgot to make laws sometimes, so it makes it a lot easier for a project like this.
What about Zomia? Have you heard of Zomia?
No.
Not
Tell
me.
me about it.
Zomia is an ungoverned land. My geography is not great. Somewhere in that region where there's basically there's internet, there's roads, there's everything, but nobody takes government seriously, and there's not much of a government presence at all. And I'll go check Wikipedia real quick and maybe send a link to Zomia. But just to be clear, I think this project is great. It's really cool. I'm excited about it.
Thank you. I've heard of Lieberland. That's in the Balkans, but I don't know Zomia.
Now, Zomia was not created.
It seems like an area around Myanmar, right?
Let me get to that link.
Yeah, it actually seems like Zomia refers to, I get it too, because there's a certain rejection. Okay, so here's a link. And in that area, what you find is that people just don't give a shit, which is just wonderful, fantastic. And so well, actually, this map says that we're not in Zomia, but I don't know. I mean, people certainly don't give a shit in Siem Reap, that's for sure.
Damn close.
Well, actually,
Um,
in Siem Reap, it's still they give a little bit of a shit here. I've been living here for 2 years, but I lived at the coast, and there is no laws there basically, and it's very easy to live there. So here, there's a little bit of governing going on, which is the biggest advantage is that it's really safe here. It's like there's no crime here compared to the rest of Cambodia.
That's Menta, by the way.
Oh yeah, thanks.
and what was Kampot like?
Very sleepy, quiet. Loads of expats, basically.
Oh
Yeah, very bad internet connections.
yeah.
So yeah, that's a bit of bad, and it's really isolated. I mean, the roads there are not that good. So it takes 3 hours to get to the airport and stuff. So it's not ideal there, but a very nice place to be though.
So let me go ahead and let's dig into this. When is this planned? Can you give some details? We've got about 5 minutes for you to cover this, but I think that it would be very important to know if you guys have any times and dates laid out, or if you need help with anything specific, like a list of things to do to accomplish, milestones.
We do. So there's a couple posts that we've made recently, one for each of those. One of them has a link to a Google Doc form, just asking some questions that will help us kind of tailor things better to the people who are interested. So you can look for that under @SteemitCity, all one word. We've also got a article out that has our values, our vision, our mission statement, our goals, that kind of thing. At the very end of it, you'll see our key results. So that kind of has our timeline of what we're wanting to see. We're hoping to have a good marketing strategy by the end of November, if not sooner. We want to have the building ready to go, the utilities on, the ISP, connected, and have some kind of member onboarding ready, like, for example, having a shuttle to pick people up from the airport and just kind of getting people acclimated to CMDEP. We want to do that by the end of December. And we're hoping to have 6 people moved in by the end of January and at least 10 people confirmed. That's kind of our short-term calendar. And I do know a couple people are moving in the next week. Is that right, Farah?
Yeah. So I'm going to be coming down there with Tuan. He's just visiting for the moment, and then Tuan will as long as zombies don't eat Tuan. See, the Vietnamese media has a quite what can I say, negative portrayal of Cambodia, and Cambodian media of Vietnam, in fact, and so basically he hasn't left Vietnam before, and so he just wants to kind of see that and zombies won't eat him or what have you, because they publish some crazy ass shit in the Vietnamese newspapers, and then what he'd like to do is come back with his wife and kid, and so that's probably about 2 weeks after we first go out, sometime in the next week or so. I actually have to fix a date with him and buy some airplane tickets and get this done.
So you guys have how many people right now who are going there?
Let's see. It would be a total of 5 this month.
I'm going to try to get there early January, but I'm still working on money to get to Amsterdam right now, so we'll see what happens. The funny thing is that the flight to Cambodia is like a third or a quarter of the price as the flight to Amsterdam for Steamfest.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
I
Why
guess
is
not
this
many people
really
are going
cheap,
to
huh?
Cambodia.
And that's actually another thing we'd like to do is host conferences and things. Some of the hotel spaces that we're looking at have really large common areas that would be good for holding conferences, hackathons, and that sort of thing. Or Gridcoin Mardi Gras, yeah, stuff like that, exactly.
Well, I'll definitely say that one of the things that I see as a hurdle will be funding. But, who knows? Maybe this is something that can be sustained because of something like Steam.
So, one thing I want to point out is in the white paper, Steemit talks about how they base their concept off of, cooperatives and that sort of thing. But there's a major difference between how most cooperative works and how Steemit works. And that is that in a co-op, every member has an equal share vote and they have an equal share investment. Like a housing co-op is a good example, or another one is a grocery consumer co-op as compared to a grocery workers co-op, right? So I would like to see us take that model. That way we're all splitting dividends equally. We all have the same investment, and we also would all, the way I see it is if everybody has an equal share invested, then when we vote on things, we're voting in the interest of our consumers and our investors at the same time. One major problem we can see that's going on with Steemit right now, in my opinion, is that the goals of the whales, the dolphins, and the minnows are very different. And it takes a lot of minnows to band together for their votes to matter, I guess. And so I just want to see more of that co-op model that the white paper says it's based off of. Also, I want to say I put a link down there as in the chat for an example of one of the places we're looking at. There are, this is not the only one by any means, but that gives you some idea.
Have you guys done
cost is not too big a worry because the real estate is really, really inexpensive.
Right, that's a good point. Right. So we're talking about $300 to $400 per person, to be a part of this. So we really don't need, some big $10,000 investor or something. Of course, it's going to be a little harder in the beginning, but, once we get 30 people, it's going to get a lot cheaper for everyone.
So you're saying that's the initial cost.
Then there's the community builds a knowledge pool, and we should be able to do some really incredible things.
Exactly.
Oh, I agree. And this looks nice. I mean, it looks beautiful, actually.
It's better than where I'm living now.
Oh, heck yeah. And probably a lot freer, too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I could get my wife to let me.
You can do it.
Oh, no, I can't. But anyway, these are the types of projects, obviously, that I get kind of like pumped up about, because this is like to me, that's the next stage, right, of what we're doing here. Right, like this is just the decentralized kind of geographically, we kind of don't have to worry about the geographical boundaries, right? But this is something where you actually form a community that's almost like a family that all do their own things and bring value in their own ways. And like Crypto Prometheus always talked about is emergent phenomenon.
Well,
that's exactly right.
And Steam, and Steam has a lot of these too. Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
I was just going to say, when Psycho Chica first told me about Steemit, I think it was in July, maybe at the end of July. This was my first thought, is, the whole decentralization and how we could, because intentional communities of this sort has been a passion of mine for a while. So I was thinking, well, this is really great because it lends itself well to that. Not even knowing that there is a lot of anarchy types and that sort of thing involved in Steemit. So once I finally did post a couple weeks ago, that was the lines I was going on. And then when I came across this, I was like, well, hell, I'm sorry, the cursing again code.
I can't believe you did that.
What? I was like, why wait? This doesn't need to be 5 years down the road, 2 years down the road. We can do this now.
I think it's a cool idea. And you guys have my support in whatever ways I can give it.
Well, cool. I will say, I think there's a lot of people interested in this idea, but I've been disappointed with the payouts this project's been getting. I've certainly been getting better payouts on my personal profile. So we're going to try to work on that, and hopefully this word of mouth will help.
Ruby, I honestly think it's kind of like just getting velocity. You know what I mean? You start slow and you build up that following. And then after a while, when people are used to seeing your content and liking your content, they're going to gravitate toward it. And that means more upvotes, So I do think that that's a big thing once that you have that name recognition for an account, right?
And speaking of name recognition, just because I don't think we said it earlier, you guys can check out our website, which is just bare bones right now, but it is steemit.city. And on Steemit, we are at SteemitCity.
Thank you very much. And Fadat, if there's any way that they can contact you, what are your handles on Steem?
Well, so on Steam, I'm Fadat, and best way to get a hold of me though is Google Hangouts or ring.cx, and I'll paste my crazy ring ID in here now.
We're also on steemit.chat at #SteemitCity.
Awesome. And Menta, is there anything that you would like to tell anybody as far as getting in contact with you, or your own account on Steemit?
Yeah, basically on all the same ways as the other guy said. Like, just Menta is the username. You can contact me on the chat, and that's it. Like, yeah, sorry, I wasn't very vocal. I'm really tired actually, and not in any way to have a coherent conversation at the moment.
It's just about midnight where they're at now.
Oh, I understand how it is. Let's see here. Well, thank you guys very much for joining up. It looks like Good Karma's not going to be joining up with us because he had to leave early. But I do look forward to seeing what he is up to, because I know that for a fact, since he started joining our Hangouts and doing this, he's been showing off what he's been doing as far as the work, and he's doing a good job and he's getting some money. Is Virtual Growth here or Psycho Chica?
I text messaged her and have not heard a response back. I also chatted Virtual Growth and haven't seen anything, so I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
I don't know if there was anything in particular that they were wanting to talk about with Steam Prentice, but I am a part of that if anyone has any questions, but I don't know what the agenda was for today.
Okay, yes. They're talking about the virtual land of YR Grid.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not a big part of that.
Well, just for I can tell people that uh, what it is it's kind of like an online virtual SteemitCity. Obviously, you're not going to be sleeping in the same location and going to the local market to buy your own fresh fruits and stuff uh, together, but because you're basically going to be all over the world. But this is a way that you can log in. It's kind of like a second life where they have plots of land, I guess, where you can even advertise your own content and different things in Steemit. So it's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah, I've been there once and checked it out, checked out the poker table, but I guess I missed the they were already done playing by the time I got there. It looked interesting. Hey, can I say one more thing about SteemitCity real quick? This just may interest some people. We are also planning on having a chef there 24/7, so you don't have to deal with making your food. You don't have to deal with the dishes. Like when we say we want to take out the barriers so you can do what you do best, that's what we're talking about. We're also talking about having a driver for those same reasons. Sorry, I just wanted to let people know that.
No, yeah, I actually think those are really good points.
Definitely. I'll be the bartender if I'm allowed to go.
Well, Joey, getting food on the streets is not an issue. Getting Western food on the streets is, and getting food in the middle of the night is. And so, we're not exactly sure how that's going to exactly play out, but what we want to make sure is that, people's focus doesn't get disturbed if they don't want it to be. And Rube's going to be doing some gardening, and I plan to as well.
And actually, there's a shop opened up that does 24/7 food deliveries, so that's all fixed right now.
Oh boy, I bet it is very nice.
Man.
Kenko just asked a question. Are we going to do rainwater collection and purification too? I definitely want to. I don't know. I don't think it's illegal there like it is here, strangely. As far as solar and wind, yes, definitely that is in our long-range plan. I don't know about earth batteries because we would have to look into the geothermal lay of the land there.
As much of that kind of thing as we can.
Exactly. Sorry, virtual growth. We've stolen your time slot.
No, it's okay. We're going to be moving into the after party anyway. And since I got kicked, G Chicken, could you do me a favor and send this to me? Yeah, I think that it sounds like a great place, man. I think that this is something that I could talk my wife into maybe a little bit later on after it's a little bit more established.
I was thinking the same thing for you, Fuzzy. 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah.
We'll get you in there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I can't make any promises, but I will say that, if I were not a man with a 3-year-old and a wife who has a job that she likes, I'd probably would be on my way packing to go over there, and my family would be like, why the hell are you going to Cambodia?
So this is one of the things about intentional communities, right? We all take care of each other. So I'm naturally really good with kids. I used to teach little kids, and that's one of the things that I want to do is, be like a nanny, maybe not full time because I have tech projects I want to work on too. But, we want all of these things to be taken care of and for people to do what they love. And one thing that I love to do is teach and take care of kids. So, I'm sure there will be 3 or 4 of us women there that want to do that kind of stuff. And it'll all be for everyone's advantage.
Oh man, I like playing with kids too, so I'll just take them to the pool every day. But anyway, just real quick, is there anything that we haven't covered today that anybody wants to get out before I stop the recording? And then we'll start the recording for the
Oh,
after party.
I kind of do, actually. There's all this talk of war recently. It's retarded.
Okay,
It's really
hey,
dangerous.
yeah, this is definitely going to be an after party subject.
No,
Okay.
well, actually, it's about Steemit. I just want to encourage all the Steemians here.
No, I'm talking about like for the projects that we were just covering.
Oh, okay. Well, then it certainly.
Yeah, so we're going after party now.
Okay.
But what I did want to do real quick for that, you are going to be talking about war, but remind me that I want to show everybody here that what you've been helping me with.
Oh, sure thing.
But anyway, war.
Well, just that Steam has a disproportionately large web footprint. It's incredibly large, in fact, for the size of the community. And I would love to see more Steemians just doing everything anti-war possible. Because you know what, guys? If we lose the internet, and I mean the whole internet,
yes.
I mean the whole thing, and if we have a third world war, that's gonna happen, okay? Then everything we've done is more or less meaningless. And that sucks. War will steal everything from us. And so when you hear about a politician casually mentioning that we're going to have a third world war or use nuclear weapons or God knows what.
Yeah, that pisses me off.
Let's use our disproportionately large online footprint to stamp that out to the most of our ability. Okay.
You know what's funny for that? This brings me to the point of something that really kind of goes along with this, and that's that there were people who I read on Steam who kind of complain about the libertarian slant to this social media platform, and I find myself thinking, well, isn't that the natural response whenever the platforms that currently exist are working with this new world order weird cult of billionaires and trillionaires? We need to kind of have these beacons of or these kind of tools that we can use to kind of sustain ourselves and not rely on that as much, right? I mean, at least at this stage, I think that's the case.
And that's what Steam is about in my mind. When you really look at what Dan wrote about in the white paper, great deal of it is fixing corrupted systems. And and actually,
you think about
been something that drew me into BitShares too.
It goes into the mutual aid society stuff that we've talked about.
Watch out for the planes, Fuzzy.
Excuse me?
Yeah, that wasn't a surgical strike on you, was it?
No, actually, it wasn't me that I heard something like a jet too.
For the drones, Fuzzy.
Oh God! Don't get into the drones with me, man, because the drones that bother me are the ones that would be like mosquito sized that could inject something into you and kill you in the middle of the night. That would just disappear from your body in 24 hours or something.
Those are very buildable.
I know. That's what scares the shit out of me, to be honest with you.
Well, they should. That's rational. Yeah. That's normal. Congratulations, you're a healthy human being. You're not celebrating violence. Good for you.
Well, but you think about it, man. This is, people always think that it's crazy to suspect that these types of tools are used for evil intentions or with intentions that are destructive. And that's just part of the spectrum of what these use cases are for. You know, like we hate to admit it, but humans use these tools for the wrong reasons just as much as they do for the right reasons generally.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And we're going into a technological era, man, where it's just